So WWE NxT,
Yes, sir. NXT.
AEW Dynamite. Yeah, from the 29th, right?
July the 29th.
All right.
No birthdays of note on that.
I'm not good with birthdays, so I wouldn't know unless I looked it up. You know what? I actually do want to start with the Adam Cole Pat McAfee thing.
Oh boy. Okay.
Because well, first of all, Adam Cole is definitely getting my Worker of the Month award because not because he worked me, but he worked everyone else. Jesus, you know how many people bought this? Which I'm happy they did. It's always good when someone can work, even the boys, because I was listening to Busted Open, and Mark Henry, unless he's in on it and he's trying to help the angle a little bit, and he's trying to help Adam Cole.
What do you think? What do you
I think it's possible.
What do you think?
But you just never know.
We love a big man. We love you, Mark, but you know we know you're still behind the scenes somewhere. You know.
Yeah,
tinkling.
Mark Henry's a really giving guy. I'm pretty sure he gave him a little. Hey, Adam Cole, that was real.
Of course,
that was real.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's totally cool.
They did. I mean, but they did as good a job as you can do while still trying to, I guess, show it off. Because they wouldn't show it off if it was real, right? And also the fact that it's Pat McAfee, who's the only person who does like one of these radio shows or whatever that works with the WWE. If it would have happened with anyone else, then maybe, because the performance was really good. But, you know, whatever. I don't think it matters. I think it's a good way to give Adam Cole an extra layer, right? And also, I like that they bring up the size thing in that, you know, situation instead of bringing it up on TV. Because I don't want to hear that somebody is small on television. Because it's like, yes, if someone's obviously smaller, you can say he's smaller. But to make everything about him be he's small. No, Chad Gable, for God's sake, with the Shorty G thing, all they talk about how small he is, even when he's fighting people that are his size or smaller. Even when he's in the ring with Grand Metalik, who's the same size, they're like, oh, you know, Shorty G is so small, and they just got to make fun of how small he is. That doesn't help him.
Which is the wrong thing to do, considering how jacked he is.
Yeah, like, and if anyone's size doesn't matter in that company, is his. Like, this is a stud athlete who's, you know, in tip top shape and in his prime. That dude, because him being 5'8" or whatever it is, does not matter. Because the guys are all smaller anyway. Because Kurt is 5'10", maybe. I saw him face to face. He's about my size, maybe smaller, but he just happens to be a goddamn truck.
He's about 3 times wider than you are.
He's what?
3 times wider than you.
Well, if you see him from the front, you can't tell. But if you see him turn to the side, you see how thick he was when he was, you know, probably not now, but you know how many years ago I saw him. I don't even remember what year that was, but it was during his TNA days. He had legs like a horse, and big, like his chest and back. Like if you see it from the side, that's when you get to appreciate. Whoa, this guy is different. His neck is like twice as big as mine. It's crazy. It's crazy. But either way, it's a good way to sneak in. Oh, you know, you are a little small, and then Adam Cole will fire up, and you know, it kind of makes him look tougher and cooler. I don't know if it's a good thing to make him look cooler since he's a heel, but
yep, that's it. There you go. First off, anybody who thought that this was anything but a work is foolish. Because in all honesty, if this would have been legit, Adam Cole at the very least would have gotten heavily fined by the WWE, and he would not be on TV, and WWE would not be showing this on the NXT broadcast. So that in and of itself is already a work. Do I think that it's a good thing for Adam Cole to do this? No, I don't. First off, Adam Cole is a heel, and he came off looking like a baby face with a dude who knows as much about wrestling as you and I do. I'm sorry. It's awful. Now, is it a way to probably, boost up McAfee's show as kind of like a thank you by the WWE? Because obviously I don't know what the rest of the content of his programs are, but I'm not exactly the biggest Pat McAfee fan even in the WWE. I just think that he's just another talking head of countless people that they have, and he's somebody who I believe, at least me personally, is expendable. Now, the one thing that drove me nuts again was the tweet that Adam Cole put out apologizing for his actions. You're a heel. You went on somebody's radio show. That person disrespected you. You flipped out, and the only thing that would have made it better, if you really wanted to take it to the next level, is actually have Adam Cole physically put his hands on McAfee and put him down. It didn't go that far. That's fine. But if you're a wrestling heel, and with all due respect, I don't want to use this term, but I'm using it here. You have some mark who comes up and disrespects you and disrespects your business, and you basically cuss him out. You got nothing to apologize for. Nothing. You walk out. You can have the babyface heat by telling this jerk and telling him off. And then what you do is you go back on television, and then you do what ultimately Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era did later on in the show. We'll get to that when we get there. But it's just that whole thing in and of itself, I don't think is going to do wonders for Adam Cole. I think more than anything, it does more for Pat McAfee and his program, which is, again, as a wrestling fan, I don't know much about his content, so I'm not going to say whether his show is good or not. But I'm not a big fan of these types of things because I don't think there's going to be a payoff unless Pat McAfee is going to get in the ring with Adam Cole and get an ass whipping inside a WWE ring. This was pointless.
All right, let's just keep it Undisputed Era. Gargano versus Roderick Strong. Gargano's gonna go over on Strong. This is heel versus heel, which is, I don't usually mind that, but these are two really, really, really good guys. Two of their better guys. But do you want to hear a fun stat that I just looked up?
Please.
Roderick Strong in 2020 is 3-11.
That's the reason why WWE doesn't show records, because if you would have showed Roderick Strong with a 3-11 record, nobody would believe that he's any good, and he's fantastic.
If they showed records, he would not be 3-11. They would have noticed, like, shit, what are we doing?
But that's what I'm saying, is that a guy like him can lose more than he wins because of the fact that over the last 3 years WWE's done such a good job with him and the other members of the Undisputed Era, notwithstanding the last couple of months, but over the last 3 years they've done such a great job with them that there is equity where Roddy can lose more than he wins right now, and it doesn't kill him completely.
Oh, well, I think he can lose more than he wins. I don't think he can be 3-11. And I had a feeling, because after this loss, I was like, this guy never wins. He never wins. He's never gonna win anything. That's what I felt like. I was like, wow. Like, I used to think of him as the guy that Undisputed Era would turn on. He'd go babyface and feud with Cole. Not. I don't know. I don't know if I see that for him anymore.
Oh no, that's not going to happen. No, not at all. No, I mean, with this match, Christ, this match, and I'm going to take it back one step prior. I'm going to go back to this, how WWE, at least recently with NXT, has done what I think is a deplorable job of setting these matches up. So WWE shows the highlights, VTR of the previous week's match between Roddy Strong, Gargano, and Thick Boy. Gosh, I get so mad that the names escape me.
Oh,
The resident. We'll call him Thick Boy because that's his gimmick. I'm gonna remember his name momentarily, folks. I'm sorry, but they show the VTR of that match, and they show the end result, and then what ends up happening is then they show a still shot with Roddy Strong and Gargano, having a Twitter exchange about the match. Again, boys and girls, this is professional wrestling. I don't want, and first off, for the WWE, if you want to use social media, for crying out loud, use Instagram or TikTok, man. Twitter's for our grandparents. Just stop. Twitter's just not Twitter's not where it's at. But can't you record something? Can't you record a like a backstage deal? Can't they get some kind of verbal joust or some kind of interaction? Does it have to be through Twitter? Again, I've said this before. I think that's a lazy way of not having to record promos or not having to have these guys talk. And maybe Gargano and Roderick Strong may not be the best promos in the world, but now you have a reason to have them verbally joust with each other. You got to do something. Anyway, besides that,
Bronson Reed.
Thank you very much. So the match between Roderick Strong and Johnny Gargano. Listen, this is going to be a wrestling clinic. All right, you got two fantastic in-ring wrestlers. They're both just silky smooth. Everything that they do is it's precision. It's textbook. It's mat-based pro wrestling. Just gold. Here's the problem: you have a heel versus heel match, and they're wrestling as if it's Bob Backlund against Pedro Morales. No one is healing. No one's trying to cheat. No one's trying to do anything underhanded. So to an audience member who probably is watching this, for me, I'm looking at this match and saying, how come there are two heels? Nobody's trying to cheat, even remotely. And cheating can be as being aggressive. Thumb a guy in the eye. Hit him when the referee's trying to separate you, like something. Like nothing. I'm not talking about, pulling the trunks or, throwing them on the ring steps or anything. I'm talking like basic stuff. They didn't even try to do that. So it felt like a babyface versus babyface match. So ultimately, I think this was a fantastic wrestling match, but it served no purpose because neither guys gets over, meaning their personas don't get over anymore. Gargano did not cheat to win. He beat him with his finish. Like, he got nothing. Like, come on. It's not like Roddy Strong is, I don't know, he's not like a Jake Atlas or one of the other cruiserweight wrestlers who Johnny Gargano can get a clean win on, pat his record up, get a win, get over his gimmick further, and then continue telling the story until he gets to whatever his main story will be moving forward. This just seemed like a match for the sake of having a great wrestling match. It didn't serve a great purpose. Like I said, fantastic wrestling match, but just it served no purpose. Both guys are heels and no one tried to cheat. What? No.
Yeah.
That's bad.
I'm also not okay with Roddy just giving away losses in a random 10-minute match. Like, he should be having big matches, and if he's gonna lose in a big match, like, I don't know. Anyway, let's go to the other side. How about let's talk about Cody versus Warhorse. I don't think this was nearly as good as the Eddie Kingston display, but I thought Warhorse had some good moments. I thought thought he was interesting. He looks good. I don't think he earns a contract here because you can't just sign every single person you do this with.
I have a distinct feeling that I'm going to disagree with you there. I think that Warhorse will come in because there hasn't been a single person that has not been signed after wrestling
True.
against Cody. So
Well, have they signed Kingston?
yes, they have.
Oh, where did you see that? I didn't see that.
I saw it on social media today. So they made the announcement.
Ah, well, I'm
So
happy. I'm happy for him.
congratulations, Eddie Kingston. I'm glad that you're in AEW because that's going to be a big addition for that roster. They really do need him.
Well, if they sign him, they sign him. If they don't, they don't. But either way, uh, this was a little bit different. I've never seen Warhorse before. He does have some charisma. uh, but there was really nothing to this match. I didn't really see anything special. Uh, nothing stood out, at least until the end, where after Cody wins, uh, he gets jumped by members of the Dark Order, and Matt Cardona makes his debut, and he was jacked. He was freaking jacked. He looked crazy. He looked like he weighed 275. I don't know. He had a good tan going. He picked the perfect pants. When people come out in street clothes, you got to make good choices. Good choices. I think these were the perfect street clothes pants. You can make an action figure out of his debut look right there, his running look.
God.
I don't know where this is going. But knowing Cody, you gotta think that 6 months or 4 months or 2 months down the road,
Or 2
someone's
weeks from
turning
now.
on someone, right? Because this is a perfect storyline for Cody. Here's a friend. He comes in. They're buddy buddy, and someone has to turn on someone eventually, right? Don't know who they're gonna be, but I thought Cardona looked like a star. I I thought he looked like a big deal. That doesn't mean he's gonna be a big deal. Um, you think he's not gonna be a big deal? I think he's gonna get over. I think he's gonna get a chance. I think he's gonna at least have a chance to get over. Um, but I mean, I'm excited to see him. I didn't want him to go anywhere else. I knew that what's his name? What's his
Brian
partner's
Myers,
name?
Kurt Hawkins.
Myers. Yeah, Myers is an Impact. So I thought it'd be cool if I don't think he would fit in Impact Cardona. So I think this was the best bet for him. I think he fits in. I think we'll see a different side of him. He'll still be, whatever, similar, but at least we'll get to see him dig into something. Maybe finally have a storyline where he's not getting pushed on his wheelchair off the stage and kicked in the balls.
Touche. All right. Well, I'm trying really hard here because this whole show was just a mess. This one was actually the best match on the show. Um, when I saw Warhorse, and again, I don't, I hate, I don't want to come across like I'm, making fun of the dead or speaking ill of the dead. But when I saw Warhorse, all I thought was he was a poor man's version of Renegade. Now, for those people who may not know who Renegade is, Renegade, he's no longer with us, but he was actually kind of a cosplay of the Ultimate Warrior back in WCW in 1995. And when I saw Warhorse, that's all I thought about was Renegade. Is like he's running to the ring, he's doing the head shaking and he's doing all this other stuff, and I just thought like okay, he's certainly not as big as the Ultimate Warrior was. He's kind of looks like Renegade size wise, even though Renegade was more, had more of a bodybuilder look, but he was on the smaller side. Um, you know, he I would have done better. I didn't like that whole jean jacket kind of rocker look because he looks to be Native American in his look, but then he's got like that whole punk rock thing, and I'm kind of like after a certain point trying to blend those two things together. At least it didn't look great to me. When I saw it, I was like, okay, well, I've never seen him before, so I'm going to give him a shot. I'm not going to judge the book by its cover. As soon as Justin Roberts introduced him, I was like, Justin Roberts just made this guy look stupid, and the match hadn't even started. I'm to the point now where I want to tell the people at AEW, please fire Justin Roberts and have Dasha Gonzalez be the ring announcer. Dasha's gorgeous. She's well spoken, and she was so much better than Justin Roberts was in that the time where Justin Roberts couldn't ring announce, and she did it. She was fantastic. Just it almost seems like with Justin Roberts is like he's trying to, in his ring announcer, is almost like trying to draw attention to himself, and I'm like, dude, you're not supposed to do that.
I don't think that's true though. That you're not supposed to do that. There are some announcers in sports that we know very, very well because they drew attention to themselves.
Michael Buffer had the one thing in boxing.
And Bruce Buffer.
But see, the thing is that
the UFC.
But they do that in the main event match.
No. Bruce Buffer.
Oh, maybe Bruce Buffer does it in every match.
Bruce Buffer goes crazy in everything.
Well, I will say this. For the Buffer brothers in boxing and in MMA, at least for me, for my flavor, they're both very good ring announcers. They're both. Jimmy Lennon Jr. as well, in boxing, he's also very good as well.
He's more traditional.
He's not at the same fame level kind of thing, but he's a really good ring announcer. Justin Roberts, I don't see him in that vein. And again, I'll say this again, I used to defend him 10, 12 years ago. I used to defend him when he was in the WWE because I thought he was pretty good. But over the years, it's like not so much anymore. When I saw Arn Anderson, the way he was dressed, I laughed because I thought to myself, he was dressed exactly the way I used to dress when I worked at the Museum of Natural History. I'm like, dude, you're on a national television show. And again, this would be my suggestion for Arn Anderson. In all honesty, wear a suit. Wear a suit that's befitting for you. Because the thing is like Cody's all about suits and ties and always looking. So look the part. He almost seems like grandfatherish when he's there with Cody. And then I'd like Arn to look a little cooler, a little more debonair. And I think that probably wearing the suit might be a better look for him than,
I think he's going for the Mike Ditka look with the vest and the shirt underneath with the vest.
Okay, well, it ain't. I don't. Okay, but I don't get that. I didn't. The one thing that I didn't, that kind of confused me in this match, and again, this is a criticism that I've had of Cody. Last week, Cody was clearly the babyface when he wrestled against Eddie Kingston. This week, it almost seems like he's wanting to be a heel. And I'm like, dude, to a certain degree, it's like you can't try to babyface somebody like Warhorse, who is completely unknown to anybody outside of, the indie, like the super indie fans that follow him. Nobody knows who he is. So you spend the first few minutes of the match getting all his stuff over. The same thing that you did last week with Eddie Kingston. Get all his stuff over. And, I don't necessarily want you to be Bob Backlund and shake his hand and all that other jazz, but it almost seems like you switch sides depending on who you're wrestling. And the thing is that could work great in the territories when you would go to different territories in different places and people will perceive you differently, but not when you're on national television. It comes across as confusing. And if he's trying to play both sides to the middle, that may not be a good look for him. It's either, if you want to be a babyface, if you want to be a babyface with an edge, I still think that Cody would be really great as a heel, and I think that that's where ultimately it would probably fit best for him. But I'm not a big fan of this switching back and forth depending on your opponent, because it confuses me a little bit. Again, Arn Anderson, who is by far the world's worst wrestling babyface, is acting more like a babyface than Cody Rhodes is. Just no good. During the picture-in-picture, again, I understand that picture-in-picture is a real new novel thing in wrestling television. But if you're going to do the picture-in-picture, you've got to be able to pick those spots to where they may not be the most important spots in the match. Just so that, and the thing is that it's a live show, but when you guys are on commercial break, slow the match down a little bit. The fact that Cody Rhodes, hits a superplex off the top rope during a picture-in-picture, it's like those are the kinds of big spots and big moves that you want to see during the main feed. That's just something to where when you lay out the match, you got to make sure that when you go on commercial break, you slow the match down a little bit. Slow it down so that if people do walk away during the commercial break, they're not missing pivotal points of the match. And then immediately after Cody hits the superplex, he basically puts the figure 4 on himself, because as soon as he applied the move, Warhorse turned it. Cody didn't even fall back, and Warhorse already reversed it. So basically, Cody put the move on himself. I don't know what promotion thing AEW had with Burger King this week, but that QR code was distracting. Please don't ever do that again. I thought that Warhorse was okay in this match. Despite his look and the bad ring introduction, I thought he did a good job. He was good. Now, of course, he's working with Cody, so it's like everything that Cody does is going to make sense. But I thought that Warhorse actually held up his own. He did an okay job in this match. Now, when Cody beats him, obviously, they tell the story with the leg, and then Cody beats him with the figure 4. That's all good. I kind of smiled. I said, it seems to me like Cody Rhodes is turning into Ric Flair 2.0. He's going to use the figure 4 as a finish. If they're going to do that and establish it, that's totally fine. I got no problem with that. Then we go to the afterbirth. My God. Again, AEW is going to do everything they can, and they're going to go to the ends of the earth to get the Dark Order over. Right? Listen, I don't like being a never say never kind of guy, but as of July 31st, 2020, those cats ain't over. And the way that they're being booked, they're not going to get over anytime soon. They're just not. So you have your big established star, Cody Rhodes, who does the TNT title match, the open challenge match, has a match against Warhorse. Then all of a sudden, the Dark Order come out, and there's no Brody Lee. It's just the minions who come out. And it's like, okay, if Brody Lee would have came out and said, I want to be the next challenger, that would make some semblance of sense. But no, it's just the minions who come into the ring. They jump Cody. And the thing is that even though Cody wrestled a 10-minute match or 12-minute match against Warhorse, I still believe that Cody Rhodes could have beat all those guys up by himself. They get Cody down. Then they look like they're going to attack Arn Anderson. And then all of a sudden, here comes Matt Cardona. With all due respect, even though, yes, Matt Cardona, wrestling fans know him as Zack Ryder in the WWE. Of all the ways to introduce him, that was probably the worst way to introduce him. Because he comes out, and yes, he looks fantastic. He looks amazing. He's always done a great job of taking care of his physique. He's always looked great. And when I saw him, I was like, this dude looks jacked. He looks fantastic. Comes into the ring. He beats up a bunch of underneath nobodies because they're all masked men. They could be indiscriminate for all I know. Then he goes out, and then it's like, hey, it's the whole chummy thing with Cody. With all due respect, there's so many ways that you could have introduced Cardona, and you could have done a hell of a lot better job than what they did. Then, of course, AEW wants to play into the reality of these guys' real lives. A couple of segments later, they're talking about how Matt Cardona is like, an expert in action figures and toys. No, no, no. He's a new guy in AEW. He looks like an Adonis. The guy looks like a Greek freaking god. Get him over first before you start, plugging things that, although yes, they're very real other business ventures that he's in, but at the same time, they're not congruent with whatever personality you're trying to, you're trying to establish. And I can't even say congruent because I don't even know what they're trying to do with him. But that's just silly. Get him over first to where he becomes a star on your TV show, and then you plug whatever gimmicks he does with his his action figure podcast and all these other things. Don't do it right off the bat indiscriminately. It just made him look silly. I thought that this whole segment after the match was over, it was all garbage. It was all garbage. They just utilized the Dark Order as fodder to introduce this guy, and I'm like, there's 1,000 better ways to do it. It was bad, And now next week they're gonna have Cody and Cardona wrestle against those two guys from the Dark Order. If that match lasts more than 60 seconds, it's too long. They just need to squash them. And I'm sorry for AEW's booking that they're like, oh, we want to make the Dark Order look good. Baloney. With the exception of Brody Lee, every single one of those guys should be squash dudes until you can establish a persona for them that actually makes me care. Until then, squash them.
Okay, on the other side we have Mercedes Martinez versus Shotzi Blackheart.
Bad match.
Mercedes Martinez, part of the Robert Stone brand, and with Aaliyah out there too, which I thought was interesting. So she comes off as almost like now she's a valet, or what is a sidekick? I don't know what they're gonna. Managers usually come with one talent at a time, if they have multiple talents. Either way, I did not enjoy the structure of this match. It seemed a little too simple for me. It was like Mercedes came in, got some offense. Shotzi got offense the rest of the way. Well, there was a Robert Stone little mini interference or distraction or whatever. Mercedes gets the last 10 seconds of offense, then it's over. So it was like Mercedes goes first. Okay, I'm gonna get my 5 moves in. Then Shotzi, you get your 5 moves in. Then I get 1 move in, and then the match is over. Besides Shotzi's Blackheart's entrance and Mercedes Martinez entrance, I did not have fun watching this match. I like both their entrances, though.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I think with Shotzi Blackheart, coming in with the toy tank, leaves a little bit to be desired. But,
well, not the tank part, but once she's in the ring and she does the howling and she goes she does the thing on her head, it looks scary. She's intense.
I will say this with Shotzi Blackheart. I like Shotzi Blackheart. She has a lot of personality, and when she comes on screen, she catches your attention with that long lime green hair, the tattoos, the toy tank, the helmet, all that stuff. It's the presentation is good in terms of catching somebody's attention. Mercedes Martinez comes out. She looks badass. The problem is that she's got 2 comedy goofs behind her that have this much credibility. For those people who are just listening and not watching, is 0. They have 0 credibility. So it seemed the pairing between Robert Stone, Aaliyah, and Mercedes Martinez, that whole pairing is not congruent with itself. It's just completely not correct. It's just a really bad pairing. And When this match starts, Mercedes Martinez gets her offense in. She throws Shotzi Blackheart out to the floor. And then Shotzi Blackheart, why is she distracted by Robert Stone and Aaliyah? Why are Robert Stone and Aaliyah even trying to distract her at that moment? Mercedes Martinez is in control. This entire match was structured wrong. Completely structured wrong. Because if WWE is trying to protect Shotzi Blackheart in this instance and trying to not squash her, that's the wrong thing to do. The whole purpose and the whole point of this match should have been to show Mercedes Martinez's physical dominance and superiority over Shotzi Blackheart. That's it. Mercedes Martinez should have had 80% of this match on offense, where she's just beating Shotzi Blackheart down. And the thing about it is that Mercedes Martinez is not even trying to go for the cover. She's not even trying to pin her. Because to pin her would be that, Shotzi Blackheart would have to kick out. And you don't want that. What you want to do is you may have Mercedes Martinez go for one pin cover, kind of lax, because she wants to keep beating up Shotzi Blackheart. Shotzi kicks out, but it's more because Mercedes Martinez wants to keep beating her up. Mercedes makes a mistake. Then Shotzi Blackheart gets some offense in. She'll get a hope spot. She might get one pin on her. No 2 counts. No 2 counts on Mercedes Martinez. You have to show her as a physically dominant woman on the NXT roster. And again, this was a perfect opportunity to do it, and they screwed it up. Robert Stone and Aaliyah should have sat out there, watched Mercedes basically rip the eyelashes out of Shotzi Blackheart. And then when the match is over, she just peers over at the two of them, and they're scared because they're like, oh my God, what are we going to do with her? This entire match was structured wrong because what they're doing is that they want to make Shotzi Blackheart look to be on par with Mercedes Martinez, and that's the wrong thing to do because you have to establish Mercedes Martinez as somebody on NXT. And if she has to do it at the expense of Shotzi Blackheart, so be it. It was a mistake. Poorly done. The entire purpose of the match, nothing, whatever it was that was trying to be accomplished in that match, didn't happen. Mercedes Martinez doesn't look like a monster. Shotzi Blackheart doesn't look like an underneath baby face. And then Robert Stone and Aaliyah, who are out there, should have just been out there as observers. They needed no spots in this match. None. It was awful. Sorry. Awful.
All right. On the other side, we have Kenny and Hangman Page versus the Dark Order. I thought the chemistry was a little off here.
You think?
Well, you're usually not a Kenny fan, but I am a Kenny fan. And Kenny and Hangman, I usually really, really, really enjoy their tag matches. But something felt off about this match. I don't know what it was, though. But either way, Kenny and Hangman get the win. And after the match, Brody threw the tantrum. And he hits Evil Uno with a stack of papers, which is funny. It's hilarious, actually. Every time, well, he's done this a few times, and it's funny. That should be his gimmick, hitting Evil Uno with paper. And he cuts a promo on Hangman, and tries to get them jumped right again.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he does the Colt Cabana, like almost like hiding, like you're not gonna want to see this type deal. And FTR is gonna come out and make the save. You don't like FTR being involved?
I'll let you finish. I'll go after once you're done.
I like FTR being involved, and I'll tell you why. Because Kenny and Hangman are the champs. They are the champs. FTR need to stay real, real, real close to them. You got FTR in a mini story with Hangman, but they're They're also in a mini story with Kenny. They're in a mini story with the Bucks. There's layers here, a lot of layers for FTR to play with.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot going on with them. And they also had a contract signing too,
Mm-hmm.
which was interesting because they had Arn Anderson with them. So that's very interesting because they've been teasing a lot of Tully stuff, right? Every time FTR is anywhere, Tully's watching, and they make sure you see it. So now they're teasing Arn Anderson, they're teasing FTR, they're teasing Hangman because he walks into the room. They're teasing Four Horsemen, yes, or something similar. Obviously, it's not going to be the Four Horsemen. But here's the thing: they're teasing Tully, they're teasing Arn, they're teasing them both, but they already have Cody and Shawn Spears. But they're also teasing Hangman, and then you need FTR. That makes 5. This is very interesting stuff. Why are they teasing Tully? Would Tully leave Spears? I don't think Spears would be a good babyface. Oh well, he would be a good babyface, but maybe not right now. Either way, this is all very interesting. Let's see where it goes.
Well, I'll take that position. This match, again, I remember what when we did the video last week, and when I saw the billboard for this match, I laughed. I literally laughed. And again, it's not a matter of looking at Evil Uno and Stu Grayson and looking at them like they're jokes. However, again, I'll say this, I'll keep saying this until I'm blue in the face. The Dark Order are underneath challenge because AEW has done a piss poor job of making me care about the Dark Order. I can look at a particular gimmick or some wrestlers or whatever and say they're not my cup of tea. But if you position them and place them properly, I can say, okay, I can get into whatever story they're trying to tell. The Dark Order has not been positioned to be of any importance in AEW, and the wrestlers in and of themselves, independent of the gimmick, wouldn't get over with me anyway. So I see this match. The first thing I saw was, there was a girl with the Dark Order, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Anna Jay. I'm like, how unfortunate for her that she's now in the Dark Order. How unfortunate. It's just bad. Of course, Rick Knox is the referee for all AEW tag team matches. Yeah, AEW World Tag Team Title match. You want to have Rick Knox, the guy that calling it right down the middle, Daddy, enforce those rules. As soon as and I asked the question. It's like, again, they're telling the story with Cole Cabana about how he's getting opportunities with the Dark Order. My question is, why is he on commentary? He's not a member of the Dark Order. I don't necessarily know whether or not there's any stakes for him in this tag team title match, one way or the other. It was like, why? It was just, there's no, and he's not, and listen, he's not a half bad commentator, but in this particular instance, not needed at all. Even if Brody Lee would have been on commentary, it's like, listen, say 2 or 3 words and we're good. The first thing I notice here is that Hangman Page goes ahead and he jump starts the match, and when Omega comes out, he's looking at him and saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" And that's why I put in my notes. He's like, "Yeah, you're not going to interrupt the Best Bout Machine's entrance, there, pal."
I thought that was.
You best to stand your ass in the corner and wait for me to come to the ring and do my finger pointing and all my other garbage that I do before the match starts. I want my entrance too. As soon as the match starts, the first thing I notice is how small Evil Uno and Stu Grayson look next to Kenny and Hangman. They look like small children next to those two guys. And they're the heels. They're not imposing at all. They're nothing. Thank God the Young Bucks were watching in the audience. All right, hooray. Good to see them. I just knew immediately that I wanted to fire Rick Knox. I literally counted. It took him 15 seconds to get to the count of 3, a wrestling count of 3. Like, dude, listen, if you would have gotten to 6 or 7, I would have been all right with that. But really, 15 seconds to get to the count of 3? Come on, Holmes. You got to be better than that. That's just awful. The one thing that I don't like, and this is just a thing now that I see in all tag team matches, no matter where I see it. For some reason, the psychology of tag team matches, they don't know how to make hot tags. Every tag is always flat. The baby faces, there's absolutely nothing impeding them from making a tag. The psychology of the match has to be is that if you got a baby face in trouble, that they have to struggle to get to their corner. And if somehow they're able to foil you, even in the midst of that, you still have to make the effort as the heels to stop them from making a tag. Because when the tags are flat and they're cold, and the only person there that's going to give them any resistance is going to be the referee, that's a problem. Because there's no tension that's built to that tag. It's in all tag team matches everywhere. But this one is even more glaring because, again, it's a tag team title match, but it almost seems like the 4 participants don't understand that in the psychology and the build of the match. Get there. Stop with the flat tags. It's boring. For that, then I don't need the set of heat. I don't need the baby faces ever being in trouble. Period. Just let them dominate the match. I hate that. I thought to myself, the longer the match went, I was just like, okay, this match is too competitive. And with all due respect, as I understand that the commentators are trying to do their best and say, hey, the Dark Order is 8-0 in 2020. As far as I'm concerned, they're 0-1. You want to know why? Because they haven't won a single freaking match on Dynamite. And the one match that they did have, which was this past week, they lost. So guess what? If you're beating a bunch of tomato cans on YouTube on AEW Dark, the matches don't count. If you want to feature the Dark Order and you want me to care about them, put them over on your freaking show on TV. Stop putting it on YouTube. It's awful. Again, they go into the picture-in-picture. Another flat tag to Omega, and he tries to make it look like it's a hot tag. Yeah, garbage. There was one spot where apparently it looked like Stu Grayson jumped out of the ring. I guess he was doing some kind of a spot either on Omega or Page on the floor. But for some reason, the director chose to use the close-up camera in the corner instead of using the wide shot to see him do the move. And I was like, what? It's like, do you guys not know that these spots are coming? Apparently not. Because they don't structure the matches for television. Got to do that. Again, another criticism of Rick Knox. You do realize that for the last 5 minutes of the match, it was basically a tornado tag, right? You do realize that, don't you, ref? You got to the count of 10. You got to get 2 of those guys out of the ring. Do your job. Again, it drives me crazy because it almost seems like that V-trigger move that's supposed to be a finish move for Kenny Omega, everybody kicks out of it.
It's not a finish. It looks like a finish, but it's not his finish.
It should have been the finish for that match. It should have been the finish.
One Winged Angel is his finish.
It should have been the finish. Especially after watching that for whatever, 10, 12 minutes, whatever that lasted. I needed that match to finish. Then Brody Lee comes out and he cuts this promo like, hey, Kenny, thanks for showing up. Yeah, duh, you dummy. He was wrestling.
Yeah, but I think he means that,
I get it, but damn it, you got to be more creative. That's what I'm talking about. Be more creative. It was stupid. He cuts this stupid dreck of a promo like, oh, the Dark Order is everywhere. Well, and I was like, really? The Dark Order is everywhere, huh? And then all I see is it almost seemed like little cockroaches. They come out from it. And I think to myself, wait a minute. So you're in an arena where your audience is nothing but wrestlers. Hey, baby faces, why don't you go help the champions out and go beat up the Dark Order? No, but what ends up happening? Brody Lee calls the Young Bucks into the ring. Okay, fine. Young Bucks are there. Cool. So now it seems like it's like 15-on-4. All right. Okay, cool. I would still put my money on the 4 members of the Elite versus the 15 members of the Dark Order. I'd still put my money on them for whatever that's worth. And then here come FTR again with a freaking styrofoam cooler. And then I'm like, again, why involve FTR in this? Why?
Well, they've been involved the entire time. Anything that involves Young Bucks and Kenny and Hangman, they've been involved since they've been on television.
Listen, there's certain. You're right about that, but the thing is that there's certain things, like, with all due respect, this thing with the Dark Order is garbage. You gotta keep FTR away from that.
Well, Lou, it's garbage to you, right?
It's
a main event storyline, though. In their show.
For goodness sake.
I know you don't like the Dark Order, but it's
come on, Vic, stop.
It's a main event storyline. It really is.
Oh my goodness,
They're not trying to make the Dark Order a bad team. They're trying to make them whatever, a main event team.
Man, listen, they're light years away from that. They're light years away from that right now, the way they're being booked. Light years. Just no. Listen, with the way that I look at it with FTR is that, can FTR be involved in the things that are going on between the other 2 tag teams in the Elite, the Bucks and Cody and Hangman and Kenny Omega? The answer is yes, they can. But the thing is that you got to be selective. If I am FTR and I want to, and let's say presumably, right, they want to be the tag team champions. Why would I want to help the champions when I know that they can possibly get their asses whipped? Make it a little easier for me.
Lou, they're playing the long game. This is the story. We know FTR are not good guys, but they've only been presented as good guys on television. But they literally told you when they first came out on television, we are not good guys. We are not good guys. They're not the baby faces.
All I know is that the way that FTR has been presented is that they, at least right now, they feel like just another team on the AEW roster.
Oh, I do not think that's true at all.
I don't.
They showed them signing a contract where they're gonna have basically their own rules or their own style of match.
No, it's not their own style of match. It's called a tag team match.
Look,
it's the other tag teams in AEW that don't know how to work within the rules. Don't give me that nonsense. You know better than that.
Either way, they've been in storylines with the Young Bucks. You don't like them, that's fine. There are AEW's company was built around the Young Bucks.
They're a premier team. I know that.
Kenny and Hangman are the champs, and they're drinking beer with Hangman and getting into mini scuffles with Kenny Omega. This is a main event storyline. With 4 members. With 4 members of the Elite. I know you're not a fan of some of these people. However, in AEW's eyes, they are trying to put FTR in a main event storyline. It is the most interesting storyline. Dark Order is not the storyline. The storyline is building up to FTR versus the Young Bucks, and Hangman and Kenny are in the middle, and are Hangman and Kenny gonna kind of break up because of FTR. It's a bunch of stuff going on. It's a very layered, to me, very intricate, interesting story.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
But let's just go to a tag team that you do like.
We'll see the next piece of it next week when there's literally a battle royal, 12-man tag team match.
Yes.
The only reason why that match should last a little longer is because Brody Lee is going to be in it, and so will Cole Cabana. So at least I can give.
Yeah, but don't get distracted. Don't be fooled by the amount of people in the ring. It's almost impossible to make this a good match. But it's not about the match. It's about the story. You're putting the characters of the movie together in the scene. And that's what it's about. It's not about making a 5-star classic match. If they want to do that, If they want to do that, you will know when they're trying to do that.
Dude, I agree. The one thing about that is that if you're looking at this match, the way that I would have booked is, am I going to book a 12-man tag? No, because the thing is that I don't need to have all the players in there. Essentially, what I would be like, I'm looking at the Dark Order and saying, hey, these two guys, FTR, they keep sticking their noses in our business. What you need to do is then actually have Brody Lee and his boys go after FTR, and then FTR can get wins on the Dark Order in tag team matches. Not have a 12-man tag right off the bat. What it feels like is that they're hot-shotting. They're just continuously hot-shotting. These are things that can happen, but they don't need to happen immediately after an angle.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is what I told you. They make some of these matches. It feels like it should be a big match. This is not that. The match is not really supposed to be a big deal or a hot shot. No, they've been building to this, to these type of moments. We don't know what the ending is, so I can't tell you. Yeah, I can't tell you if it's gonna be Bucks beat Kenny Hangman, FTR beats Kenny Hangman, Bucks fight FTR for the titles, or if that's not gonna happen for another. I like that we are delaying the inevitable, which is we know we got to get Bucks FTR, but I kind of don't want that for a long time. And they were in a rush to do it before, and now it's slowing down. They're not hot-shotting. They're slowing down and extending the story. For me, that's what it feels like.
No, this feels, listen, what they're doing is that they're trying to put obstacles in the way. It's just a matter that when I see this happening, it's more a matter like obviously there's always different ways to book this stuff. I would not have booked a 12-man tag match. You want the Dark Order to say we're going to get even on FTR. They fail to do it. Then what they do is they want to go into the 65-on-2. Now still take the 2 FTR against the 65 Dark Order guys, and then you can have Hangman and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and all that come for the save. You start layering it little by little. If the Dark Order were even remotely over, you could weave them in, and then there could be a nice layered thing there. But those guys aren't over, so it's basically you put them in there. You create this situation that seems. I don't want to say that seems completely forced to contrive, but they're just kind of there. They're just wedged in there as a means to give us another match, and not and maybe tell the next part of the story. But if the Dark Order were even remotely over, it can be a hell of a lot more interesting than it's going to end up being.
All right. Like I said before, let's go to a tag team that you do like.
Let's see. You're probably talking about my boys, Imperium.
I am. So this was, like you said, Ever Rise are basically jobbers. So, this was a squash for me when I was watching it. I guess the important part of this match is again what happens after the match. So you have Undisputed Era coming out after a fired up promo from Kyle O'Reilly, right?
Good haircut, by the way. I'm digging that haircut. Looks good on him.
Yeah, I like when wrestlers change their look, even if it's something small. I don't want people with the same look for 5 years. It's like, come on, guys.
Nah, you look good. I was digging the haircut. It really was.
But yeah, he shoots goes pretty hard on his boys, and I like that he has a voice. Right? It's like it makes them look like more of a group instead of just being Adam Cole's little lackeys.
True.
So it's good. It's good because even Adam Cole was like, yeah. Okay, he's right. Let's go. Whatever. Okay, so I guess this is gonna set up a beef with Imperium. Is this to set up a tag team beef, or do we got faction against faction? What do you want to see here?
Well, the one thing that my one criticism, again, the match was the match. Like I said, I love Imperium. They're fantastic. Thank God they were on the show. Ever Rise, God love you. The story, I think the story that they're telling now with Ever Rise is that, they came to WWE thinking, they were going to be successful, and now they're finding out that it's not as easy as they thought, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, give them whatever storyline you want until they actually win a couple of matches. I'm not going to care. Now, Imperium goes in and they cut a promo, and I was like, again, this is what I said a couple of weeks back, that the current tag team scene in NXT looked like Imperium was going to be tag team champions and board tag team champions for a very long time. And then you see the Undisputed Era's music play, and I thought you were going to see just, Fish and O'Reilly. No, you saw all four of them came out and beat the piss out of the Imperium boys. They laid them out. And I was like, yes, good. Because WWE's done a horrible job over the last several months with Undisputed Era, and it's not deserved. Those guys are the best thing you have on NXT, and you need to protect them. Protect them and make them look good. Now, what do I think? The only criticism that I have of this is that both of these teams are heels, and I'm not ready to see any of them turn babyface. I'm just not. And what do I think ultimately is going to happen? I think that ultimately what's going to happen is that this is going to bring Alexander Wolf and Walter to the United States if they're ready, if they're able to travel from the UK into the United States. That's going to set up a 4-on-4 again between these two groups. Ultimately, obviously they had their match at Worlds Collide. This is probably dates back, 8 months or a year at this point. I'm not exactly sure. Great match, but it was supposed to be a one-time thing. Of course, when I'm saying about hot-shotting with AEW, NXT did the exact same thing here, because they had the Undisputed Era come out, lay out Imperium, and now next week, what do you have? NXT Tag Team Title match, Imperium against Fish and O'Reilly. So, that's like my one criticism about this is I'm not ready to see any of these teams turn babyface. Do I think that a tag team title match should happen right away? The answer is no. What has to happen is that Imperium gets their asses whipped, and then they have a response for the Undisputed Era next week. And then you can have the match the week after or whatever. You don't need the title match the following week. So, that would be my criticism for that segment. But I thought that it was great because the Undisputed Era beat up a team that has heat, a team that people care about, and within the NXT universe, is the best tag team they have there because they're the champions.
And because they only have 3 teams.
Well, no, they don't. They probably have about 5 or 6, but they only have about 2 or 3 that we care about. But because forget about Everrise, Breezango, Indus
I don't think I've only seen one Indus match.
Well, there's a reason for that because they're not very good. But it's just but that was like I said, good segment. But I just thought that the hot shotting of it to the tag title match next week is a little unnecessary.
All right, so that Kyle O'Reilly promo, he was fired up, and so was Keith Lee. Keith Lee finally fired up, and you know what? Keith Lee, when he's calm all the time, I think it's now I kind of like that he's calm all the time because when he fired up, it felt, oh, okay, so this is important. This is serious. There's danger right around the corner, and this is not, this is no more games basically. Him and Cross are right there. That if something's about to happen, hopefully they don't even touch until the takeover. When is this takeover?
August 22nd, the day before SummerSlam.
All right, yeah, that's when it should happen, absolutely. And I don't even want to see them touch. I really don't. If they do touch, I don't want to see Keith Lee get any offense. I want him to get caught from behind. Although he's not going to win the match, so he probably won't win the match. So it's going to be tricky to keep him strong. But either way, his best promo, right, so far.
It was.
I thought he did a good job, and they took a little bit of this was like an AEW style promo. This was not a WWE promo. This felt like it came from him. This does not feel like it was like someone wrote down a promo and handed it to him. And if they did, it might have been just, hey, make sure you get this in there, that in there. This felt like it came from the heart. Yeah, like I said, he was fired up. He dropped some bullshit by you. That bullshit? Did he say bullshit?
Sure.
He
Yes,
said it twice. He looked into the camera, which is a WWE no.
I
But
don't
this is
understand why.
this is
That's so
this
stupid.
this is NXT though, so you get away with some stuff. So I thought that was cool. He looked straight into the camera, like I'm ready for that ass.
But the thing is that everybody should speak to the camera. Who are you talking to?
Yeah, you
Like
got to
that makes
speak.
no
You got
sense.
like it's understood that you're putting on a sporting event, right? That's what. If it was real, it would be a sporting event, right? And when you interview a basketball player, he looks into the camera. Oh, we went out there, we tried hard, whatever. It's a sporting event within the context of the show, right? We know it's a sporting event. We know it's being filmed. We know that the fans are there because it's a sporting event, within the show. So we know that fans are watching at home, especially now.
Yeah, because they're certainly not live at any arena, that's for sure. But no, I mean I agree. This was by far Keith Lee's best promo. He sounded like he meant what he said. He hulked up, which was great. I love the fact that he came through and he threw a couple of cuss words in there, which was appropriate for the emotion that he had. So that was very well done. Obviously Cameron Grimes comes out. He wants to be the heater, and confront the champion. Wrong thing to do in that situation. But of course, that's we weren't going to get Karrion Cross in that situation. So you got to get somebody for the champ to beat up, and Cameron Grimes was the guy. So that's totally fine. Scarlett comes out, and the first thing I thought to myself is Scarlett is Sable 2020. Like when I think of Scarlett, I think of Sable. Like there's just the comparisons. So much of it, physically and all the things. They very much. Um, I didn't like. It's funny to me, but I didn't like Killer Cross's promo in this particular instance. I understand that the heel is not supposed to confront the baby face in a situation like that, but part of me didn't really like that because I think that for Karrion Cross with his size, and his ability, he should have been able to at least stand on the stage or something. Just something. There's just something there that didn't seem to work for me. It's not that there was anything wrong with it. It's just that I would have preferred for a confrontation. Um, and I will say this again. I don't like the fact that this match is occurring so soon. Keith, Keith Lee's been champion for probably 2 or 3 weeks, and this guy that they're putting him in the ring against, I can clearly believe can take the title off of him. And listen, it's good booking from that because you wanna make sure that the opponents that you put in there are people that the fans can believe is a threat to the champion. But I don't necessarily think that Keith Lee can't win this match flat. Hi, how you doing? Keith Lee can't win this match flat, and Karrion Cross can't take a loss. Not right now. And Karrion Cross can't take a loss, and neither can Keith Lee. So it's almost like, how do you book this match so that both guys look good in the end? And in all actuality, Keith Lee needs to get out of this match, the takeover, still the NXT champion. I think it would be really, really lousy booking to make such a big deal of Keith Lee being the NXT champion and only take the belt off of him 5 or 6 weeks later. Just doesn't make any sense.
Okay, let's go to Best Friends and Jurassic Express
Oh boy.
versus the Inner Circle. This match started a little all over the place, but eventually it calmed down.
Yeah, you're being really kind, Vic.
I mean, it was a little crazy in the first, I guess, 5 minutes. Yeah, I don't know what that was, but it was crazy. Uh,
Yeah, I
you
can tell
know,
you what it was. It starts with the letter G and ends with the letter E,
I
and
got.
there's Arbage in the middle.
Okay, I got you. I got you. All right. Uh, I guess the interesting thing here in this match is that Matt Hardy's going to get involved.
Oh, Lord.
Did he have beef with Sammy Guevara before?
Yeah, he did.
He did, right?
Yeah.
It happened. It felt like so long ago. My memory sucks.
Wow.
And when I first saw, it, I was like, "This is random," and I couldn't remember, and I didn't want to look it up. So I'm glad you remember.
No, I did. They had they had some little mini thing going on that, again, with all due respect, it's like there's 1,000 different ways to do it, and this is not the best way to go about it.
Well, we get Sammy back. This is his first match back. I thought Sammy looked good. I thought he came across as a star. I like that Matt Hardy interferes. I don't necessarily, like that, even though the story, there is some beef there at least. I thought there wasn't, and so I was a little confused by that, but there is beef there. And Sammy is being made to feel important, right? So the segment is basically set up at the end is setting up a beef between Sammy and Matt Hardy. So we're giving Sammy something to do against somebody who he can learn from.
Yeah, I can buy that. I mean, the match in and of itself was awful, but again, there's so much about this match. I will say this: I love Taz on commentary in AEW. He's fantastic. I would like to see more of him. It's just a matter that I wish that there was some level, and it's weird because I know that I shouldn't be asking for this, but sometimes I wish that there was some level of explanation as to why Taz is there. Like Taz can just be sitting there ringside, but we're supposed to like not bat an eye or not say like, okay, Taz is there, and I'm like, why are you here? You could say
On commentary?
Yeah, on commentary, like even if it's in.
But he's a commentator. That's why he's there.
I know, but what I'm saying is that the role that he's playing right now is a manager. Like that's.
But he was a commentator before he was a manager.
Correct, but the central character that he's playing now is a manager. So it almost feels like, even if Jim Ross was to say, "Hey Taz, nice to see you. May I ask why you're here?" He can cut a little promo talking about how about Paige and Ricky Starks and all that. Preview the main event a little bit, and then he can go into commentary, and that's it. It's very simple. It doesn't have to be anything convoluted. Very, very simple. I really don't like the fact that Justin Robert, they have that whole demo god thing for Chris Jericho. I just, he's got so many nicknames. I don't think the demo god is one they should be using. It's not even like funny silly or they get a tickle. It's just stupid silly. Like stupid, don't do it silly. When I look at the Inner Circle, and again I keep saying this, and I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it again, the Inner Circle don't look like main event players. They don't. None of them as a group. They don't. When the Best Friends and Jurassic Express come out, and the little graphic said Best Friends and Friends, no, please don't do that ever again. Jurassic Express is a the name Jurassic Express has value in AEW. So with just saying Best Friends and Friends, what you're telling me is that Jurassic Express are like, don't do that. It seems like it's undermining them, and I know it's kind of like a little tongue in cheek, like haha. Don't do that, please. Don't ever do that. Hager, cut off that damn ponytail. Looks bad on you. Cut it off. Get a regular haircut. I will say this: in the beginning of the match, having just the sight of seeing Orange Cassidy and Jake Hager starting off the match, and Orange Cassidy starts with the stupid kicks. And then Hager sells it. Hager starts selling for this, selling it, meaning like He's just looking up and he's like, what the hell is he doing? You know what you do, Jake? Just slap him. Just slap him, please. All you got to do is slap him one good time. One time for me. One time for me. Just so stupid. It turned into a battle royal literally a minute into the match. All 10 guys were in the ring. Then Aubrey, and again, this was a match that Aubrey Edwards did not need to referee. You could have put Rick Knox. You could have put in Mike Posey. You could have put in Paul Turner. Put in a referee in this match that AEW's done a fantastic job of burying already. Because what happens is that the baby faces are cheating right in front of her, and she does nothing about it. So Marco Stunt jumps into the ring and blatantly interferes right in front of her. And she's just like, oh, why is he doing this? You know what you do? You ring the bell. Yeah, so what? He's 5 feet tall and 100 pounds. It doesn't matter. He's cheating. Ring the bell. It's a disqualification. There's no point in Marco Stunt interfering in this match, period. No point. It's ridiculous. Later on in the match, the baby faces are beating up the heels 5-on-1. She doesn't count. She's not warning them. Hey, get out of the ring. Not threatening to disqualify him. Mm-hmm. Nothing. It's just 5-on-1. And I'm thinking, like, are you the heels? That's what the heels do. You beat up the babyface 5-on-1. Just stupid. Again, I said 6 minutes of garbage before we actually got any semblance of a wrestling match. It was horrible. I loved it when Ortiz went and he said, when they were beating up Trent Beretta, and he's like, oh, get this scrub out of here. And I laughed because I was just like, Ortiz, I thought he was just going to get up and leave. I want him to take his own advice. Just bad. Get out of here with your garbage. I love the way that, Beretta's partners didn't look very enthusiastic about getting in the ring and helping him when he was getting beat up 5-on-1. They were just standing around the corner all laxed, and I'm like, your boy's getting beat up 5-on-1. Can you at least make a halfway effort to try to get in the ring? Have the referee stop you. That's what you should do. You try to jump into the ring to help your partner. The referee has to run you off, and that's how the heels cheat. It's not hard. It's only been the formula in every tag team match for the last 30 years. Probably in the history of tag team wrestling. It's nothing new. Don't recreate the wheel. It works. When the announcers are constantly like, oh, Aubrey Edwards is having such a hard time. Listen, when you have to cover the referee that much, I can understand that there are moments when you can do it, but when you have to cover it so much throughout the course of the match, that means that there's a greater problem with the way that the match is being laid out. Because the referee should not be, bouncy-turvy. The referee can easily just disqualify somebody and throw the match out as a means to get the wrestlers to calm down and work within the rules. Trent did a great job of being the babyface in peril. Realistically, on his side of the ring, with the exception of Jungle Boy, I think the Trent Beretta, he's a great talent. Luchasaurus is so-so. Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy, you already know what I think of the two of them. Luchasaurus had, he got the hot tag. He did all right. Unfortunately, when he had that spot with Hager where his mask fell off, that kind of squelched that altogether. That certainly, that was an accident, obviously, but it completely derailed that whole spot fest. Then it just became like an endless caravan of big spots. All 10 guys won, and it happens in all these big tag team matches. So, this isn't an AEW-centric thing. It's just a matter that I roll my eyes. I'm like, it's been a battle royal. It's basically been a tornado tag team match with the exception of maybe 1 4-minute stretch inside that match. It was just a battle royal. Then Matt Hardy's music plays, and Aubrey Edwards, thank you for looking towards the aisleway so that you can have your back to Matt Hardy when he actually interferes. Again, cheating on behalf of the baby faces. It was 7-on-5, including Marco Stunt. So way to go. Matt Hardy, throws, and runs the interference. Luchasaurus beats Sammy Guevara. Again, the one guy that if you're trying to feature, he probably shouldn't be the guy you beat, but okay, fine. But with Aubrey Edwards, again, I look at her and I said, listen, I appreciate the fact that you're trying to look like you have your back turned to what's going on. The problem is that you buried yourself in the beginning of the match by by basically having the baby faces cheat right in front of you. They weren't even trying to hide it, and there was nothing going on. Nobody had enough wherewithal to try to distract you. Nobody did it. So whatever. She was already made to look foolish by the end of that match. Again, the match was horrible, and again, I'm disappointed because I expect better from these guys. Tell a story, get somebody over, and again, it seems like the match was designed to to tell the story of Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy as the aftermath. That's fine. The thing is that within the actual body structure of the match, it's like, did anybody really get over? That's the question, because you can't say that Orange Cassidy wasn't featured heavily in the match except for that portion in the beginning. Trent Beretta got in there and he got his butt kicked. Chuck Taylor, I don't remember him being in the ring at all. Luchasaurus had his one moment, and then when his mask came off, and then Jungle Boy, I don't even remember him being in the match at all. So it's just poorly structured, and this is the reason why matches like this, unless they're going to get a lot of time, or you can slow it down to where you can kind of tell stories and weave them. No good, bad match.
All right, we have Io Shirai and Tegan Nox versus Candice LeRae and Dakota Kai. Io and Tegan are going to win. I thought this was a solid match. Nothing really stood out or, made me roll my eyes or anything like that. It was like this started the show, right?
Yeah, they were the first match on the show.
Yeah, and the crowd, well, the fellow NXT
the workers,
they were fired up.
Well, yeah, it's the first match. They just give all the energy for that first match.
Yeah, that was a lot of energy. I thought it was a nice little touch for Dakota to come out and before the match even starts, put some paws on Io Shirai. Because they're gonna lose this match, and Dakota, she's I guess she's being positioned to face her for the title.
Oh boy.
So although there's a promo afterwards that I don't know what's going on. Are they gonna make it a three-way? I don't know. There's some shenanigans.
We'll meld those together. We'll talk about them both at the same time.
Yeah, but these are four pretty good workers. I like seeing them. But Io and Tegan won, so it's like, what now? We just wait. I guess we're waiting to see what happens with Dakota.
Well, this match, it's weird because this match has four very good in-ring workers, but I don't think the match was good. Mm. Now, listen, I enjoyed the fact that the match was jump-started. I like the fact that Io comes out first and Dakota jumps her from behind, and then it just becomes a schmoz. So that was cool. They did that for about, the first minute and a half. Then they go into the ring. The referee by himself breaks up four women that are in a fight, rings the bell, and then they go into a lockup. That's stupid. Just completely stupid. That makes no sense. The match in and of itself, again, this goes back to the same principle that I have with tag team matches. I think I'm starting to really get the impression that in professional wrestling today, most wrestlers don't know, or people in the big companies don't understand the basic psychology of what makes a tag team match work. They just don't understand it. They put these matches together as a means to meld stories together and feature multiple people in one match, but there's still a story that has to be told within the match. If the story that you're trying to tell within the match is that Dakota Kai is going to be the next challenger, so she jumpstarts Io Shirai and beats her up, and then Io, really was featured heavily in this match. She was just beating everybody up. The only person she didn't beat up was Tegan Nox, and that was because she was her partner. But, it's just, she just beat up everybody. And again, it's like, I get it and I understand it because she's the champion. You want to make her look strong. And it was the right thing to do. The problem is that they didn't really get the heels, meaning, Dakota Kai and Candice LeRae didn't get any heat on anybody. They got some heat on Io Shirai, and it seems like they might have had like a mental fart and be like, "Oh, you're the wrong person in the ring," and then all of a sudden, Tegan Nox comes into the ring without a tag. She just got into the ring without a tag, and then she does a couple of spots. Then the heels work on her, and that set of heat felt like it lasted for 90 seconds, and then Tegan Nox was tagging out again. And then Io Shirai comes into the ring and just, she just, acts like she's Keith Lee and just smashes through everybody. And again, when I saw the match, the first thing I thought to myself is, where's Raquel Gonzalez? Because here's the thing. I don't know what, if Raquel Gonzalez is not available for, reasons, whether she's, sick or, not able to come, that's understandable. But if she's available, she needs to be out there because she's gonna be that enforcer type that's actually going to be able to help the heels maintain their heat throughout the course of the match. Without her out there, again, Candice LeRae, she's a great wrestler, but she's not a good heel because she's so small and she just doesn't know how to cheat. She hasn't figured out the aggressiveness yet to make the heel character work. Sometimes I would believe Tegan Nox more as a heel than I would believe Candice LeRae. If it was Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai against Candice LeRae and Io Shirai in this match, it would probably make more sense. Just because of the size and the work skill on the other side of the ring. Again, Io Shirai bowls through everybody. She beats Candice LeRae, which is the right thing to do. You're not going to beat Dakota Kai. Sorry, Candice, you're taking the loss here. And the one thing I didn't like was that Tegan Nox, is giving her a hug and everything after the end of the match, and she's bowing and everything, showing all this respect. And I'm like, listen, you could give her a nod or a fist bump or something like that to say, hey, good job. But you still want the title, don't you? And she just beat you the week before, didn't she? That you should still be a little sore about that. Even if you're a babyface, you still want to be the champion. Leave a little bit of space for that, because if you're just such a white meat babyface that way, then here's what ends up happening. Nobody's looking at you. Nobody cares. And then you're going to have a whole list of women wrestlers passing you by, even if you may be technically better than they are. You got to do a better job than that. You got to leave somewhat a little bit of tension just to let Io know, hey, I'm still here. You got me the last time, but I'm still coming for your belt. Then they do the promo later on. Dakota Kai cuts her promo, which was very well done until Rhea Ripley showed up. First of all, the heel leaves, and then Rhea Ripley's like, hey, wait a minute, come here, acting all authoritative. And here's the thing.
Being kind of a dick, no, for a babyface?
That's the problem. You see, the thing about it is with Rhea Ripley is that she's a babyface, but she's bullying Dakota Kai. And Dakota Kai sits there, and she's putting her head down, almost looking like she's going to cry. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is the same nonsense gimmick Dakota Kai did, for the weeks leading up to that War Games match when she finally snapped. You figure that at this point she would have grown a spine and just basically tell Rhea Ripley, hey, if you want Io Shirai, you got to go through me. Bow up to her. Show some spine. Because that's the only, because if you have Rhea Ripley talk you down and you just walk off all scared, I'm going to talk to Mr. Regal. Come on. Bow up. Because what you end up happening is that you actually end up making Rhea Ripley look like the heel. She's the baby face. If you're the heel, you just smack her in the face. And then you get into a scuffle. Because Rhea Ripley's not going to stand for that. And you as the heel's like, yo, screw you. I'm next. That was awful.
I'm next.
God.
All right. Let's go to Brian Cage and Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin and Jon Moxley.
Do we have to?
Well, yes, we have to. We're gonna end the show on a good note, but
oh God,
I mean, I look. They told you it was gonna be Tornado, so that's what they gave you, a Tornado match.
Oh yeah, it was a tornado match in every sense of the word.
Ricky Starks, I thought, cut a good promo. Did you think he cut a good promo?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. The only thing that I don't like is that when you stand him next to Brian Cage, just Ricky Starks just disappears.
I didn't think he looked that small next to Brian Cage. I thought he looked good.
Because he's taller, but he looked like a little boy standing next to him.
Well, Cage is everyone's gonna look like that. Cage is so muscular. So muscular. You know what I want to see is how much bigger he is than Matt Cardona now, because Cardona looks crazy. I know he's bigger than him, but I don't think it's gonna look as bad. I think Cardona's gonna look good next to him.
Well, first of all, I don't want to see those two guys wrestling each other or stand unless they're going to take a picture just for Instagram, just for kicks and giggles. I don't really care to see the two of them standing next to each other on AEW TV.
Yeah, right. Cardona's gonna be a big star, my friend.
We'll see.
He's a very creative person, and if you're very creative in AEW, you're gonna do fine because you have ideas. They're gonna be heard.
I will say this. I agree with you that Cardona is very creative, and the thing is for me is that you can be extremely creative, but at the same time, the creativity has to be coupled in a way that you're not just doing things creatively that seem cool, but it's not something that seems congruent with your character. Like if Matt Cardona was to try to play a character that's anywhere resembles, and again, just humor me here, even if he was trying to even resemble Zack Ryder in any way, shape, or form, it won't work. It won't work at all. He has to find, and the thing is for him is that I have never seen, and again, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I've never seen him anywhere but WWE. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt in AEW and see how he does. But I've never seen him come across as anything that I would feel comes across as anything that I would want to see. Meaning that if I missed his segment, would I feel bad about it? Would I be like, oh man, I missed something special? Up until this point, the majority of the time, the overwhelming majority of the time, it's been no. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in AEW. I think that he was debuted poorly, but let's see what happens. But if they book him to try to make him just another guy on the roster, that's bad. Make somebody feel special, whether it's a baby face or a heel. If it's a baby face, make them feel special. If it's a heel, make them a threat. All these other things. Don't try to blend everybody together to where it's like, you're having, you don't want anybody beating in, you really don't want anybody getting squashed or getting beat up or whatever because it's going to make them look bad. No, make your stars. So if they're really serious about Cardona, make him a star because he looks like one. Make him a star.
My only concern, I'm not concerned with anything character wise. Even if he's doing Long Island stuff, I don't think he's gonna do comedy.
I hope not.
I think he's gonna rep Long Island, But
that's fine.
My concern is, can he work better than what we've seen? The way Cody, I didn't know that he could do some of the things that he can do, right? I had no clue.
Oh no. I mean,
He's a
he
can,
had
can Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona now, can he do the same thing? Can he work better than what we've seen him do in WWE? Because he wasn't given any opportunities, even when he was U.S. champ, or he was only IC champ for a short time. He wasn't being given 15-minute matches. It was 7 minutes. Go out there. It was always shenanigans. It was always weird stuff, and we don't know what he's capable of.
Well, I can agree to that to a certain degree. That the gimmick he played in the WWE was not conducive to him having, super long matches. The one thing is that if I want to make him a star, and again, I say this with all due respect, the match that he and Cody have next week against the Dark Order has to be a squash. You have the TNT champion and the biggest star on that show teaming up with a brand new guy that just came from the WWE, looks like $1 million, and they're wrestling against literally two guys that look like teenage school children. Cody and Cardona need to smash these guys through. And the fear that I have is that AEW does not want to do their programming that way, and they want to make every match competitive. And if that happens, again, you're squandering an opportunity, because the Dark Order, forget about it. Unless it's Brody Lee and Colt Cabana combination, none of those matches should be in any way, shape, or form competitive. But now let's go back to this tornado tag match. Let's get back on track here.
Well, yeah, I mean, this was just all over the place. It's a tornado match. It is what it is. But the finish here is going to be Darby grabbing a skateboard with tacks on it, which he's done before. It's kind of his weapon of choice, like Triple H's sledgehammer or Sting's bat. But shit, did that shit look like it hurt? Ricky Starks.
So you don't do it because you can't work it. Don't do it.
Well, maybe it didn't hurt as much as it looked. Maybe it looked a lot worse than it was.
Okay.
Maybe there's no. I mean, I'm not taking it, so I won't ever know.
Yup. And if I were in Ricky Starks' shoes, I'd be like, I'm not taking it either.
But, well, the way Ricky Starks clobbered Darby Allin last week, this might have been Ricky Starks' idea. He might have been like, "Hey,
all right, brother, here you go. Go ahead.
Come get this receipt because I fucked you up."
Okay. I mean, both instances were no good. I mean, obviously with Ricky Starks running over Darby Allin like that, I'm like, listen, if you were doing that to Brian Cage, I can understand that Ricky Starks would have probably gotten a concussion had he hit Brian Cage that hard. But but listen, the match was what it was, and again, I said this last week. A tornado match is already in its construct. It's already constructed to not be good. It's just constructed to be just a schmoz. The issue is that this match on its face makes no sense, because Jon Moxley is the AEW champion. He's, I guess, purported on the television show to be the baddest dude on the program, and he's a loner. He has no friends. When the hell did Darby Allin become his friend?
Well, they've interacted a lot. They definitely told the story for Darby Allin, Jon Moxley. Had matches. They've shaken hands. Darby has come out to help Jon Moxley 3 or 4 times, it feels like.
Well, it's still, in watching it, it's just like it felt completely out of place, but that's fine. So Darby Allin's music, Chaz cuts the promo in the back, and then he basically tells, "Hey, Cage, come up front. I'm going to go behind. I don't want to piss anybody off." And I just thought to myself, I was like, listen, I know that's a complete shot at Jim Cornette. I get it. It's
no. I think that was a shot at Bully Ray.
But listen, because Cornette made the same thing about him, as like he's got to stand behind Cage. But anyway, notwithstanding, the interview, the promo that Taz cut was okay. He's been a great promo guy. Last week's promo was bad because of the fact that he had to explain a really stupid finish. This week's promo was better, but whatever. Not his best stuff, but it was a good promo. The one thing I will say for Brian Cage, I don't want to see you smiling. If you're not going to speak, make a face. Look like you're tough. If you're just sitting there smiling, you look, I'm so happy to be here. No, dude, don't smile. Don't smile. You be the mean one and let Ricky Starks, because when Ricky Starks cut his promo, Ricky Starks was fantastic. When he was talking, his promo was great. The one thing that I thought in my mind, I was like, okay, so even though this didn't work out the way I thought it did, but I was like, all right, so if the babyface came out first, Moxley comes out again through the crowd, which is fine, that's his gimmick, whatever. No Darby Allin, you're presuming that, hey, Darby Allin got jumped by the heels prior to the match. So I'm thinking the heels basically cut a promo for like 3 or 4 minutes. Literally, the tunnel's right behind them. I was like, couldn't Moxley just run through the curtain, jumpstart the match, and beat him up? Obviously, the way that they decided to do it, with Darby Allin jumping from the stage, which, again, whatever. It's typical to Darby Allin.
I thought that was good.
I thought so too, but it's just a matter of like, it's one of those things where, Darby Allin could have easily come out to the ring, and while those guys are cutting their promo, he could have easily just walked himself to the top of the stage. Nobody would have known the difference.
I think that would have been cool too.
So that's the reason why I thought that was stupid. It didn't make any sense. I've already beaten Justin Roberts over the head. He sucks as a ring announcer. I hate that. It's just, please stop. And again, Aubrey Edwards, she shouldn't be officiating this match. She shouldn't. I'm sorry. And it has nothing to do with what the violence of this match is. It's a matter that if Aubrey Edwards is being positioned as the senior authoritative referee, these are the types of matches that really need to have somebody that will just turn the other cheek. If Aubrey Edwards is not that person, she shouldn't be out there refereeing this match. You have many other referees that, again, you've done an excellent job of burying them. It's no good. Again, Jim Ross, thank you for reminding us all that no DQ matches are right up Jon Moxley's alley. You do realize that every match that Jon Moxley has is a no DQ match. You do realize that, don't you? Because every match Moxley has in AEW is a no DQ match by proxy. The one thing that I didn't like about this match was Brian Cage selling moves for Darby Allin. In this match, Brian Cage should have sold absolutely nothing for Darby Allin unless Moxley's assisting him. There's a reason for that, and it's not because we're trying to bury Darby Allin. It's because you're trying to tell a story. The story you want to tell in this match is that even though this is a no DQ match, Darby Allin can't do jack squat against Brian Cage, because eventually you're going to have a one-on-one match, and that's the story you're going to want to tell of Darby Allin having to overcome. The fact that he was getting offensive moves on Brian Cage and he was bumping for Darby Allin was wrong. Don't do that. Again, the weapons under the ring, again, I understand that these matches are, I just hate the fact that it's like underneath the ring, you have every, garbage cans, kendo sticks, shotguns. I mean, everything is underneath the ring. Realistically, if you're going to do that, why don't you just grab steel chairs? There are chairs everywhere. Just go in and just push one of these, one of these ham and eggers from the audience. Grab the chair and use it. If you want to go under the ring, there might be something under the ring. That these things got to make sense. It just seems like they just have endless supply of toys that they use. And again, it's just part of what wrestling has become. Just one of those things that don't make any sense. Then the skateboard, the whole thing with the skateboard with the tacks. One of the things that I'm trying to find, like, probably a better way to do the spot. The one thing that with Darby Allin, and I'm trying to make this so that it makes sense. Darby Allin as a character, is very dark. He's got that whole, kind of like underworld skateboard, type character, which is cool. It's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. The one thing about it is that when you're going to use a prop like the skateboard with the tacks, it's very flat, meaning you can't see what's going on. If you're the audience member, let's say that there were people in the crowd, no one would be able to see what Darby Allin hit Ricky Starks with. No one would be able to see it because the tacks are small. The skateboard being black, it's just like it's very opaque. If you're going to use something like that, make the skateboard bright, like a red or something. It's got to be a color that can stand out. Just so that it's different from what everything else, because Moxley's dressed in black, you're dressed in black, it's just like it just feels flat. And the camera has to like pan, and even when the camera was panning to the skateboard, I still couldn't make out what it was until he made contact and I saw that Ricky Stark's back was all bloody. I was like, oh, he's got the thumbtacks. That's again, this match was awful. Nobody got over. Ricky Starks takes the loss, which again, I'm not happy that Ricky Starks takes the loss because he just got to AEW, and I think there's a lot of potential in him. And to have him lose, I don't care if it's main event matches against the main event talent, it still doesn't help him, because then it's like, how do you recoup from that? If you're losing to the top guys, you're going to have to start from the bottom and work your way back up. It's kind of like, hey, start him at the bottom, have him win more than he loses. So like that, when he loses to these guys, it doesn't seem like it weighs heavier than it does. So yeah, it was what it was. It was a match for the sake of. In the afterbirth of the match, I always keep hating this. Please, AEW, stop doing this. At the end of the main event match, please stop telling us what's going to be the main event angle, the main event match for next week. It's like literally with 2 minutes left to the show, they're like, oh yeah, next week, Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley for the AEW title. And I was like, why? When did this happen? What story, what recent story has been told for these two guys to be wrestling for the championship, if for nothing else, to have a match? It's, again, this is where I'm saying that these are all these little things. You got to weave them in. You got to weave them in a little bit better. This match just seems like it came out of nowhere, and it's for the AEW title. These are not matches that you should be. I'm not saying that you're giving them away, but at the same time, this is a match that could be much more important if you tell a story, which they didn't do in this match. None of them.
All right. We have the triple threat for a spot in the North American title ladder match.
God, man, these matches.
Dexter Lumis versus Finn Balor versus Timothy Thatcher.
Oh boy.
Thatcher's Thatch Can.
Thatcher's Thatch Can, yes.
So look, this tournament, everything would be just fine, right? Or whatever. It's not a tournament, but whatever. These matches would be okay if Keith Lee didn't just bury this title, right? So he buries the title basically, and now you're gonna have all these matches, but the people who are gonna win these matches are gonna be basically the mid card guys. And you think, well, if they beat the top guys, it makes them look good. No, it makes the top guys look bad. That's what it makes them. It brings everyone down. This is not good, because Lumis is gonna go over on Finn Balor, who to me haven't done anything with.
No, he went over on Thatcher, which is even worse.
Yeah, he's gonna pin. Well, he's gonna submit, put him to sleep.
Thatcher.
I don't mind him beating Thatcher, but how do you submit him? You've been telling a story of this guy being the best grappler in all of wrestling, basically. That's what the story you're telling. And that's it. He gets choked out and embarrassed. I don't want to go to Thatcher's school anymore, because he got choked out by a guy like that no one really cares about. This just doesn't work for me. Then they had this weird moment where Lumis does a front flip, and it was heavily edited. So can he do the front flip or can't he? I know he can do the dive. If he can't do the front flip and land on his feet, don't do it. Don't do it. You don't have to make believe he can, because that means, is he ever going to do this spot again? So you've added a piece of a little spot that a cool spot that we think he can do, but he's never gonna do it again because it was bullshit. Or don't edit it if he can do it. Maybe he can do it. If he can do it, don't edit the shit. Let him do it. Have some faith. I was not a fan. I'm not a fan of this situation with this North American title. If you want to make the title feel important, first of all, it should have never been dropped. It should have been at least stripped or something else.
Regal had to be the heel.
Yeah, Regal should have just said, look, I can't have you walking around with 2 titles because you can't really, in a smart way, defend them both unless you defend them together. It's not fair. I'm taking the title. Then the tournament, the people winning should be the big names. Finn should be winning or whatever. Whoever. You can't have the people that nobody cares about winning this tournament. Let's say if Lumis goes on to win this tournament. It does not matter. It does not matter. If Finn wins the tournament and then Lumis somehow you build him up and he beats Finn, that helps. That helps Lumis. But Lumis winning right now like this, when the title doesn't mean anything, and we clearly see what's happening, because if you had to rank them in terms of how close they are to the main event, 3 being the lowest. Bronson Reed was the 3. He was the 3rd ranked in last week's match. Lumis is the 3rd ranked in this match. So the worst guy won back-to-back weeks. What's the match next week?
Oh boy, this is even worse. This drives me. It's Damian Priest.
Okay.
Tony Lorcan versus Ridge Holland, who is debuting from NXT UK. He's
right.
The US NXT brand.
So
why in the world would you have that guy debut in that match unless he's going over?
Which now he has to go over. So now you're gonna have, maybe he's not going over, which is also dumb.
Exactly. That's why you don't put him in the match.
Yeah, you don't put him in the match. But also, you know what's worse? So it looks like these 3 guys, they do have a clear-cut favorite, you could say. But to me, he's not over his damn self. So you have all the studs already wrestled, and now you're starting to get the rest of the guys. Hey, we don't have that many great guys left. It's gonna be 5 matches unless Ciampa is still available. I don't know.
Put the cruiserweights in there.
Yeah, you can. If a cruiserweight's not everyone in NXT, not everyone, but 75-80% of the guys are cruiserweights. So if they want to fight for every title, they can. If Adam Cole can be the world champ, and he's probably 190, whatever. I don't know what his real weight is, but what's he booked at? 210?
200. Come on, let's give him a little bit of respect. Let's give him 200.
Adam Cole is as skinny a man as I've ever seen in wrestling, besides Cheeseburger from Ring of Honor.
Nah, man.
Oh, and this guy, what's his name from the UK?
Mark Andrews?
No. Homie that no, he was in New Japan right now. Zack Sabre. That dude is thin as hell.
Yes, he
Either
is.
way, that's not important. I'm not happy about this, and I'm not going to be happy about this. No. You're gonna have to work really, really, really hard to save this.
Listen, this match in and of itself was okay. Yeah, I agree with you. Dexter Lumis doing the backflip to the floor is stupid. One is because he doesn't land on anybody, nobody gets hurt, and if the other 2 guys who are bigger and stronger than him should just jump him and beat his ass. It's just dumb. It's just completely stupid. I actually liked the one-on-one match between Balor and Thatcher. I thought that they were very good in a one-on-one match. The umbrance and the issue that I take on, or I shouldn't say the umbrage that I take with this whole tournament is that in the triple threat matches, you can have Bronson Reed and Dexter Lumis go over. You want to know why? Because they're technically not beating anybody one-on-one. So if the thought process is that we can get these guys who are, bubble players. They're not there yet, but this might be the way to get them over. This is where you do a conventional tournament. A conventional one-on-one tournament, 16 men, 32 men. Oh, not 32. It's probably too much. 16-man elimination tournament. Have guys work one-on-one matches. Have one guy beat another guy, and just have it happen that way. It doesn't make any sense to me, realistically, to have these triple threat matches where nobody really gets over. Again, with all due respect to Bronson Reed and Dexter Lumis, they're the wrong guys to be winning these matches, because guess what? When you put them in this ladder match, it's not gonna feel as special. It's not gonna feel as main eventish, as if you would have had, like Gargano and Roddy Strong. I'm not really upset that Bronson Reed went over on them. I am upset that Lumis went over on either that he beat Thatcher and by proxy beat Balor as well. One of those two guys should be in that match, if not both of them. But I will take Balor because he's a big star, and you need star power in this type of a match. So if you're gonna have a match like this and you're just gonna feature underneath bubble talents and put them for the North American title, what you're doing is that you're making a clear distinction that you want, at least currently, you feel like you want the NXT title to be featured more prominently, and that the people that are wrestling for the North American title is clearly the next level down. It's not like the guys that they're all on the same plane. It's just that the North American Championship feels as important as the NXT title. This doesn't feel that way. And I certainly did not like the ending of this match. I thought that it was a lousy ending. Again, Lumis knocks out Timothy Thatcher with his chokehold sleeper move. Can't you get a quick one on somebody? Get a quick one, pin him. Don't beat him. Don't beat him into submission. Thatcher's only been on TV for what, a month? 2 months maybe? You're still trying to establish him and get him over. You're going to tell me Dexter Lumis is more important than him? Apparently so.
He's booked that way.
Yeah, apparently so. This was awful. And in all honesty, I agree with you. I'm not sure how the WWE is going to be able to recover and make this feel important, because next week's match feels as flat as can be.
Mm-hmm.
Damian Priest needs to go over. You have Oney Lorcan in there. God bless him. Let's just say he's in there just to fill out the match. And then with Ridge Holland, you're debuting him to the U.S. audience, and you're putting him in this match. What is wrong with you? Put Ridge Holland in the match. Have him go over against Joe Schmo. Don't put him in a match that's this important, because guess what? If Ridge Holland goes over, now you have another potential main event guy not wrestling for the North American title in what's supposed to be a main event match or takeover.
Yeah, I think this card, the takeover card, is already set. Gargano's probably already in a match. Finn Balor's probably already in a match. Thatcher's probably already in a match, and God knows who else. And they're like, okay, who's left? Oh, let's just put these 5 guys in the North American title, and now we all know it. They just pretty much.
It feels. Listen, this thing feels right now like what this is starting to come around as to the one thing that I feared when Keith Lee won the title, is that NXT's making some kind of a shift in, they're trying to shuffle the deck. It's just right now the cards that are being laid down don't look very good. I'm certainly not digging it. Listen, you got to make it. If Damian Priest doesn't go over in this match, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to accept the fact that it's gonna be guys, what I call, the bubble guys. They're not underneath, but they're certainly nowhere near the main event, standing alone. And the thing about it is that if you want this match to work, you need to have big stars. Because if you're going to have like a Dexter Lumis or a Bronson Reed win ultimately at the end, it makes sense to have them win against big stars. That's how you can help them get over. They're not going to get over alone on that, but it certainly can help.
All right. Final thing we're going to talk about.
Sure. Let's go.
Let's talk about MJF. The only thing I didn't like about this is that EC3 did the same exact thing on Impact. And he's already, I don't care if people already do things. Trust me. It's wrestling. It's like everything's been done.
Nobody watches Impact. So
doesn't matter. It's credibility with me. I don't care if no one ever seen it. I seen it. And it doesn't necessarily matter, but he's already compared a lot to EC3. So I kind of rather them go in opposite directions. But either way, that's not important. It was still fun to see. He still made his statement. He took a stance. He made it feel big for me, you know. And I think he might be the guy to beat Jon Moxley. I think it feels right. It feels right. You know, every other match that Jon Moxley has had, you can tell it was like, okay, this is just to get along. You know, we need a match for the pay-per-view. Let's give him an opponent. But that's not the opponent that we're waiting for. We knew that the right heel was going to come along. And every story that they were going to tell with MJF, they pretty much told it. He's done everything he has to do to get to this moment. And now he cut the right promo to get him to the moment. The promo for me worked. And yeah, I kind of want to see him win. I'm ready to see him win.
Listen, I love the promo. You know, obviously it seems like all of MJF's material came straight from Jim Cornette's criticisms of AEW. All of them. Which is fine. You know, I laughed when I heard it because I'm like, you know, Corny's probably watching this in his house and he's probably having a good laugh. MJF is a fantastic promo. Do I think that MJF is the right guy to beat Moxley? Yes. I said this several months back when Moxley beat Jericho for the title that I thought it would do more harm than good. In the beginning, I was incorrect about Moxley being champion doing more harm than good. I was incorrect, and I was very happy to say that I was wrong. However, over the last several months, I've been looking pretty good with my statement. Moxley as the AEW champion is not the right thing to do. They need to get the belt off of him as quickly as possible. If it's at the All Out pay-per-view come Labor Day, do it. Get the belt off of him, put it on MJF. Do I think MJF is the right guy? No. The guy that should take the belt off of Mox is Cody Rhodes, turn him heel, and just get the belt. Because the reason why I say this is because as great as MJF is on the microphone, and he works good matches, I don't think that he's been featured enough in wrestling matches in AEW for me to feel like, okay, he's the guy. I would prefer to have Cody be that guy and turn heel while MJF is still, he's in the mix, very much in the mix, but not the top guy. I don't think that MJF should be the top guy, but if I had to choose between MJF and Moxley, I'm taking MJF every day of the week. Because he's just better. I'm sorry for those people who think that Jon Moxley is all that. God bless you. I don't like his matches for the most part. He just wants to do all this hardcore stuff, and I'm like, okay, if that's the style that you want to work, you can do that, but it has to be in a universe outside of the AEW title. The AEW title has to mean something, and I think that to a certain degree, in some instances, it seems like he's devalued the title somewhat. And I know that that's a difficult thing to say because it's such a young company, but I don't think that he's the right guy to be the champion. And if MJF is the guy to take the gold off of him, sure, fine, I'll take it. Do I think that it should be him? No. No. The problem is in AEW is that they've not done a good enough job presenting guys that you can say, hey, when we got to take the belt off of this guy, who's next? Who's a like somebody who you can, pass the baton to and it actually works. They got no one. After Cody Rhodes, they got no one.
Well, they can pull the trigger on some stories, but they are in the middle of other stories. They can pull the trigger on the Hangman Kenny feud, and that's instantly main event feud, and whoever comes out of that feud can instantly go for the title.
Yes, but what I'm talking about is that in the current moment, see, if Moxley is the champion, you're putting him in there with MJF. That's great because, again, I think MJF is the best worker in AEW. So putting him in there with Moxley, it's like, of course, MJF is going to have to do some of that hardcore stuff that Moxley loves to do because it has to be incorporated into all of his matches. And, of course, it'll be a no DQ match by proxy. Nobody has to say it. It's not a stipulation that has to be told. Every time Jon Moxley wrestles, it's a no DQ match. It just is what it is. I'm not again, I wish that there were more guys that were being brought up in such a way that everybody can look credible. Again, AEW has a very loyal fan base. No matter how big or how small they are, they know who these guys are. The issue is with AEW is that when it came to presenting the initial introduction, they went under the premise that these guys are major stars, which they were not. To a mainstream audience, they were not major stars. And they're trying to lend their credibility to guys that are even lesser known than they are. And ultimately what they do is that you're trying to level everybody in the same plane. And in situations like this, this is where I say you have to tell me who your stars are. Beat me over the head with it. And, it's okay. It's okay to do it. If done correctly, you tell me you tell me these are the guys. Whether I like them or not is, that's irrelevant. Tell me who they are, present them as such. And then when situations like this come about, you have more options. Like I said, I love MJF. Do I think he should be the AEW champion? Yes, but not now. Not now. Because there's a lot more that needs to be done with MJF to put more of a foundation under him, a bigger, stronger foundation under him. But if AEW feels that they got to pull the trigger, he's the guy, so be it. I don't think it would be great for him to be the AEW champion because it will, it'll transcend him to the top of the AEW fan base. I don't know if or not fan base, but the AEW ladder obviously is the champion. I don't know if it will be a great run because, again, I think that there's still more work that needs to be done with him. I think that eventually he will be a very good AEW champion as a baby face. Not as a heel, as a baby face. Hear me out. What you do is as we talked about privately last week, if AEW goes with a storyline that develops Horseman 2.0, and again, if I had my druthers, it would be Cody Rhodes, Hangman Page, and FTR. And then you can either have Brandy Rhodes or Arn Anderson. You got to choose one or the other. Whichever they choose is fine. Doesn't matter. Is the manager. Eventually, MJF turns baby because the Horsemen start, or whatever you call this group, start messing with him. MJF is not going to be shaking hands and kissing babies. He's still going to be MJF. But it's MJF as a baby face. And then when he beats Cody for the title, then you got yourself money there. Not with Moxley. With all due respect, Jon Moxley he ain't gonna get nobody over. He's not. And I think it's not because he doesn't know how to work, because he does. The problem is that he chooses to work, hardcore matches, all this other stuff, and I'm like, dude, you have a good name and credibility that you can lend to this company and lend to the people you work with. You don't need to work the style that you want to work. Because if you just want to work that hardcore deathmatch style, you're not getting anybody over, especially if you're the world champion. You're not getting anybody over. So, again, this is why I'm saying that I want MJF to be the champion, just not now.
Like and subscribe, everyone.